Hello everybody, purchased myself a pair of Pioneer PLX 1000 turntables last Friday. Well, all I'm going to say is this. There's the boxes. the right deck's in the box and the left deck is going to follow shortly. They are absolutely shocking. I actually swapped my pair of Technics for these because everyone's ranting and raving saying how bloody good they are and high torque, great for scratching, brilliant for mixing and all that stuff. Don't listen to anybody. Don't do it. Do not take the plunge and do not get these turntables. They're just super OEM decks, which is great if you're into your scratching because there's plenty of torque. I mean, don't get me wrong. They look great. They feel really robust. They're just not very good for mixing. Not good at all. And the isolation for the sound, it just is crap. I mean, you could tap on the platter and you hear it through your speakers really badly. At least with your Technics, you don't get that. The Technics literal pitch controller itself on the deck is really, really smooth. I mean, I'm really shocked at how bad it is, if I'm honest. I mean, because it's a super OEM deck, they've modelled it. It's all the same as like your Stanton straight 150s, the Citronics, the Audio Technica. They're all digital pitch control faders. The only bit of advice I will give you is this. If you are a mixer, you've been mixing for years on vinyl and you want to change turntables, don't do it. Just get your Technics, get them repaired, get them modified, get them serviced, whatever you want. Do that. Don't waste your money on these turntables. Anything that's got digital pitch control on for a vinyl turntable is crap for mixing. I should have really known better. I used to work for a really well-known DJ superstore, really well-known superstore, and not DJ superstore. That's what I just said then. It wasn't them, so ignore that. Yeah, worked for a really well-known DJ shop, and everything I had to go on, I used to think, oh, I don't know about that. Oh, I don't know about this. Technics are great. Blah, blah, blah. Thought I'd do it because everyone's going on about them. Not very good at all. Literally, the way to describe it is, yeah, they feel like Technics. You put a blindfold on, you wouldn't know any different. You really wouldn't know any different. They sound great. The recessed start and stop button feel on and off, brilliant. Snazzy looking start and stop button, the same as the CDJs with the recessed LED that turns blue when you push it down. Yeah, everything's in the right place. Plus you get the additional pitch controller, so you get 8, 16 and 50. So great, until you bloody use it. Pitch control. Best way of saying it is this. If you've got a track and it's here and you go, right, got to speed it up a little bit more to get it in time. So the slightest little nudge, tiniest little nudge is way too much. It was just too much. And the other thing that really pissed me off with this deck, you got two decks together and you got your fader open and you got two tracks playing, and you know you got them both in the mix and you want to let go of your turntable and you want to let go of the pitch control and just mix your track. With Technics you got about 30 seconds depending on how well calibrated they are before the two decks start to go out of sync, and you got to, you know, twist the tweak the top of this, or you do your platter. You do what you normally do. You can't do it on this. The minute you touch the platter, yeah, it sounds fine when you touch it, but then it goes back to a really weird speed and doesn't even go back in time. When you do that, you twist it, doesn't do it neither. Just that is the main issue. If they sort this out, you'd be laughing, but they're never going to do that. I spoke to Pioneer about this. I spoke to him yesterday, so that would have been almost Monday to yesterday. So I spoke to him yesterday and they turned around and said we never heard any issues about these decks at all. The only issue they actually did have was with that part right there, which is the spindle tops. What they had was part of the bearings for the spindles on here were getting very loose, and out of the factory this whole thing here would move around. So as you'd imagine, that's not very good. So they made a big recall on that. Everything else is fine. I mean, everything's solid, sturdy, weighs a bloody ton. It's just a pain. The other thing as well, because they're digitally controlled, the power supply on this, I don't understand what the big deal is with them, but when you start a track up and you set that to 0%, so when you hit the reset button, so the deck is running at 0, but just literally default 0, that's it all the way through for quartz lock. When the strobe spins around, when the platter spins around, you look through the strobe, the actual platter itself is moving left and right like that. It fluctuates on both decks. I noticed this deck was worse than the right hand deck, which is back in the box. Now I spoke to Pioneer about this and basically turned around and told them flat right. I said, right, have you had many complaints on these decks? I just said no and laughed, and I thought, well, yeah, well, you're going to say that. And I told them where I was from, and they started opening up a little bit more. And they said, well, it's a super OEM remodeled turntable with a few tweaks to make it like an old friend. I said, well, if you're replying about a turntable like a Technics, for an example, I said, you're never going to get that right. I said, yes, it looks very, very similar. So 10 out of 10 for that, for copying somebody else's idea. They don't feel like them, and they certainly don't perform like them. And they said, well, you're going to get slight fluctuations on the platter, but it won't make any difference to the pitch, which is utter bollocks, because it does make a difference to the pitch. Because if you imagine your platter's moving around left and right slightly, it will, because the pitch won't be hitting in time properly. So something to bear in mind as well with that is just that's one thing. And the platter, the pitch control, is the second thing. Really, really not impressed. So that's going back in there. They're both being picked up at some point. They're both going back to the shop. 1,200 quid. Can you believe that? You spend £1,200 on two decks. Back in the day when I had my original Technics, they cost me 1,195 quid, and I had Mark III pitch faders slapped in mine. Mark IIs and Mark III pitch faders. But knowing it now, it's a pair of bloody Mark IIs with the ball bearing taken out. Anyway, yeah. So £1,200 for a pair of these is going to set you back brand new, which is exactly what I've done. And what a fucking waste of money. Utter waste of money. So yeah, if you're going to buy one, guys, bear that in mind. Use it for hi-fi use or whatever you're going to use it for. Don't use them for DJ use unless you're a scratch DJ. If you're a scratch DJ, you'll love them. That's it. But again, if you're a scratch DJ, use Technics. That's what everyone uses for scratching, surely, isn't it? DMC, Champions, all that. I know it's only a name, but there's a reason why it's a name. Because they're the most reliable, robust things on the market, and they still are, well, they're remaking them, aren't they? They've got a new one out. But again, the new Technics is digital pitch control. Everyone's jumping on this bandwagon now with digital pitch because no one wants to use analog anymore. This is never going to work. These for normal DJs that mix house, techno, trance, or anything that's got like a long transition, moving it up and down, you're going to be constantly riding the fader all the time. You really are. And I just can't imagine doing it. You don't want to be mixing your track and get it just where you want. Next thing you know, let go of it, pull your fader up, do that. By the time you've done that, the bloody thing's gone out of sync. It's bull. It's rubbish. You don't want that, do you? Don't buy it. Just don't buy them. Buy Technics. Get Technics. If you've already got them, do not get these. The only thing I will suggest is if you've got Mark 5Gs. Now, I swapped these for Mark 5Gs. It's the M5Gs with the blue LEDs with the switchable pitch control range on them. Again, I didn't get along with them because of digital pitch. I do not understand what the big deal with them is. Everyone loves those turntables because of the way they look and they're the Grandmaster decks. Bollocks. It's just another thing that looks really, really good. But the pitch control, yeah, you might have Mark 5Gs, but they're crap compared to Mark 2s. I've mixed on Vestax PDX 2000s, which are better than bloody M5Gs. It's just the best of what they were at the time. But they're no good anyway. They're digitally controlled pitch control. So Mark 2s, get a pair of them if you haven't got them. If you have got Mark 2s, don't buy these. Take them back. So up yours with this Pioneer is what I say to that, because these are going back to the shop. If I had a bit more time, I would have done a mix on them for you to actually show you. But I'll be honest, I was embarrassed enough to do one when I actually got them. When they were delivered on Friday, my missus was sitting down behind me because I'm lucky enough to have my decks in my living room. She sat behind me and she was sitting there minding her own business for what she was doing. And I turned around after I'd finished about a 10-15 minute play on these, and she just turned around and she scrunched her face up, and I said, yeah, I know, they're crap. And she just laughed. She goes, well, it's a bit of a rarity we hear you mess up like that. And I actually sat here for about an hour and a half with two records, right? It's the same as you do when you first start out and you hammer the same two records for fucking ages until you get the beats matched up. I did that. And again, you couldn't do it. You get them just near it. You think, yep, you cracked it, and bang, they go out of sync. So I've tried everything. I really, really wanted to give these a go. I was really hoping that someone, even Pioneer being the industry standard for CD players, would have actually pulled their finger out and done something properly. They've done everything properly. They look great. But that is the biggest bloody downfall. It's such a shame. So I've got all this bloody rigmarole now, taking them back and get your fucking money back, and then trying to hunt around for a pair of Mark IIs, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, there you go. Right then, guys. If you want any questions, you got any questions on them or anything, again, by all means, fire us over a message. You might have seen me do a lot of reviews in the past online anyway. Fire over a message if you get stuck with anything. And yeah, there you go. See you later.